Building a great father-son relationship does not happen by accident. Join us for this important conversation today on Family Vision. Rob Rienow here with Visionary Family Ministries. Just yesterday, we hosted the Father-Son Connect event here at Wheaton Academy in West Chicago, Illinois. We had a great turnout. Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m., 0 degrees, and a full house of dads with their sons, elementary school, junior high, high school, even some college-age young men there, taking 90 minutes out of their busy lives to get strengthened and equipped to build stronger relationships as fathers and sons. It was awesome. I loved it. So today on Family Vision, I wanted to share with you a portion of the teaching from that morning, casting a vision for how important the father-son relationship is, and the first main point that we discussed at the event, the importance of building heart connection. Now, if your church would like to host a Father-Son Connect event, you can just email us at podcast@visionaryfam.com. The 2026 conference schedule is full, but we do have some openings in 2027. And we'd love to talk about partnering together to help fathers and sons in your church or school grow in their relationship and their faith in Jesus together. Now, after this teaching portion, don't shut it off, because I'm going to come back and I'm actually going to give you 5 or 6 powerful questions that the dads and the sons talked about at the Father-Son Connect event. And these are questions you can use with your son to deepen your relationship right now. Here we go. So let me give you an illustration or a picture of the father-son relationship, especially as we start to move into and we are in the teen years. Anybody in here who likes to hike? You like to climb mountains whenever you can. Okay, sir, right there in the back. Tell me your name, gray shirt. John Hudson. All right, John, welcome. John, you have decided you are going to climb Everest. Yes, you're going to climb Everest. John, how tall is Everest? 29,000, maybe 13 feet-ish, 29,000. Now, when you're going to climb Everest, it's expensive, right? You got to hire your Sherpas, I think they're called, your guides, and they obviously guide you up the mountain, but they also carry some of your gear and things like that. And you work your way up Everest, and you stop at different base camps in order to acclimate to the altitude. Your final base camp is at 26,000 feet. You're going to acclimate there. Then you're going to summit and come back to base camp in the same climb. You can't stay up at the top because you die. There's not enough oxygen up there. So, and if you're going to die, that's where you're going to die. They call it the death zone, 26 to 29 and back again. So John, it takes you a while, right? You've spent maybe 10 days working up to 26,000 feet, and your Sherpas are like, John, we got to be honest with you. You're one of like the best climbers we have ever seen. The physical conditioning, I mean, look at you, right? I mean, you're unbelievable, right? The biceps and everything. And they say, you know, we've just really never seen a climber like you. So our thought is for the summit tomorrow that you really don't need us. We'll keep the hot chocolate warm. You summit tomorrow, you come back, we'll have Chick-fil-A biscuits and your hot chocolate ready for you. How are you feeling? Not great. In other words, you're like, guys, I did not pay you $60,000 to get me to base camp. Honestly, you're right. I probably could have gotten here by myself. But I paid you the $60,000 to get me from base camp to the summit and back again through the death zone. So from a parenting standpoint, the death zone is junior high and high school. If things are going to go bad in the relationship, that's probably when they're going to go bad. So here's what happens in a lot of families. Now, for John, he knows all about this mountain climbing stuff. If you're doing serious alpining, you see these guys, they're tied together. You literally rope in with all your other climbers. So if one guy slips and falls, everybody else braces and holds, and they're able to get their footing. So what happens for a lot of fathers and sons, particularly around junior high and high school, is they separate their ropes, they separate their relationship, they talk less, they connect less, right at the time they need to be tied together more than ever before. Your physical life, as my boys get older, okay, I've got 2 boys married and out of the house. I've got a high school sophomore. I've got a 6th grader. As my boys get older through junior high, high school, college, and adulthood, we physically separate more and more. They have jobs and they play sports and maybe they go away to school and eventually they don't live with me. We physically separate more and more. But the picture that I want to give you today is that as we physically separate more and more, our relationship's supposed to get closer and closer. Our heart connection is supposed to get deeper and deeper. Our trust with each other gets stronger and stronger. Big picture-wise, we're going to talk today about two essential ingredients for the father-son relationship. If you want to have a good, growing, strong relationship, not only now while you young men are still at home, but once you become men and you have a man-to-man relationship with your dad, a brother in Christ relationship with your dad, as hopefully you're all following Jesus, how do we pull that off? We got to do two things. We got to get heart connection and we've got to get spiritual connection. Heart connection and spiritual connection. Let's talk about heart connection. This one comes from Proverbs 23, verses 24 to 26. In this part of Proverbs, Solomon is writing to his son. Like he's literally writing down wisdom and instruction for his son. And Solomon says this, "The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice. He who fathers a wise son will be glad in him. Let your father and mother be glad. Let her who bore you," that's your mom, "rejoice. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes observe my ways." So here's a real dad in history. This is 3,000 years ago, writing to his son, "My son, give me your heart." In other words, let me into your life. Be open and honest with me. Let's do this journey together. We spend a lot of time with parents who have adult children, and they have a broken relationship with them. Or parents who have adult children and those adult children are not walking with the Lord. We do a lot of ministry with those parents. And one of the things that the stories that they'll tell about a time the young man was 15, 16, 17 years old, where he started like putting walls up, getting cold, angry, distant, sometimes lying, but just keeping dad, keeping mom out of their life, not talking to them about personal things. And that was like one of their first warning signs that they were losing the connection, that the climbing ropes were starting to get severed. Now this, I'm not going to do a deep dive on this, but Solomon at the end says, "Let your eyes observe my ways." In the next few verses, Solomon is going to warn his son against getting into sexual sin. So Solomon says, "Look at my holy example in this area of life and follow your dad's example." Okay, good. Some Bible scholars are like, wait a second, time out here. That doesn't sound exactly right. So this is fascinating. When Solomon tells his son, "Let your eyes observe my ways" in that aspect of life, is he saying, do it like me, or son, don't do it like me? Don't do it like me. So dads, that's part, there's two sides of the coin that we need to be sharing with our kids. Here's some ways God's blessed me. Please follow that. And son, whatever you do, don't do it like your dad in A, B, and C, because I royally messed this up and I don't want that for you. Let me show you another passage on this biblical principle of heart connection. This scripture, Malachi chapter 4, verses 4 through 6, these are the very last words of the Old Testament. Okay, they're written in 400 BC. After this, there's going to be no more Bible given by God for 400 years until the time of Jesus. Okay, so the very last words of the Old Testament. God says this, "Remember the law of my servant Moses, the decrees and laws I gave him at Horeb for all Israel. See, I will send you the prophet Elijah before the great and dreadful day of the Lord comes. He will turn the hearts of fathers to their children and the hearts of children to their fathers, or else I'll come and strike the land with a curse." The end. And that's the end of the Old Testament. It's a terrible ending. Can we agree? There's got to be something after that. And there is. If you do a deep dive on this passage, the prophet Elijah is John the Baptist. Elijah's already come by 400 BC. So John the Baptist is the next Elijah who's going to be a forerunner for Jesus. Elijah is going to be turning the hearts of fathers to their children, hearts of children to their fathers, to get people ready for Christ. So one of my mentors, Richard Ross, talks about this principle of heart connection. Richard would have a PVC pipe. He'd pick a dad and he would connect our heart connection with a nice big PVC pipe. And he'd say, when you have heart connection, you have warmth, closeness, openness, honesty, trust. There's a heart connection between you. And when you have that with someone, particularly a father and a son, you have influence because you genuinely care about one another. There's a warmth and a trust between you. So one of the things that the demons want to do is to break godly influence from fathers to their sons. If you've got a father who's following Jesus, the demons don't want any influence from that father following Jesus on the son. So the way they try to break that is by breaking the heart connection, breaking the warmth, the closeness, the openness, the honesty, and the trust. So, and that can happen on both sides. Dad can be under a spiritual attack to take his heart away from his children, take his heart away from his sons. For me, as a lot of years as a dad, I was a youth pastor, and honestly, I was more invested in helping other people's kids follow Jesus than help my kids follow Jesus. I would pray with other people's kids. I wasn't praying with my kids. I'd read the Bible with other people's kids, wouldn't read the Bible with my kids. So God had to do a lot of work in my life. A dad whose passion is at work, a dad whose passion is his hobbies. Guys, here's something my pastor a few months ago shared. He was preaching from Ephesians chapter 5 for husbands. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So he made this comment. He said, Christ laid down his life for you. Can you lay down your phone for your wife? I'm like, oh, right? Or can I lay down my phone for my kids? My 12-year-old boy, Rush, when he was little, this happened a long time ago, I was holding him. He must have been 2 or 3 years old, and I was walking around the house, and I had my phone. I'm checking sports, checking email, whatever, and he's talking to me, right? My 2-year-old boy, he's talking, and I'm going, yeah, because I'm checking my phone. He reaches over, he grabs my face like this. He pulls it over here to him. He says, Daddy, look at my eyes when I'm talking to you. I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy, right? I mean, how disrespectful was I being even to my little 2-year-old son who's trying to talk to me, and I'm checking ESPN or my email or whatever it is. And then young men, you're going to be dealing with the spiritual attack too, to take your heart away from dad. And this, again, happens 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Let's say that your dad picks you up from youth group. Maybe you go to Christian school or a homeschool co-op or something like that. Your dad puts you in some sort of Christian place, picks you up after youth group. He's going to ask you 2 questions. You're going to get in the car. Question number 1, here, you be the son, I'll be the dad. 2 questions he's always going to ask you. Number 1, how was youth group tonight? Good, fine. Fine is usually what it is. And then the next question, young men, is what? What'd you learn? What'd you learn? And then, okay, I'll be the dad. What'd you learn? I don't know, nothing. What I would always say was stuff. Learn stuff. And here's what was interesting. So again, I had a Christian mom and an atheist dad. So my dad wouldn't ask me these questions. It was my mom. She's asking me, how was youth group? What did you learn? Pretty basic. And mom, or in this case dad, he's just trying to make a little heart connection with you, not having to have some big conversation. But what happens on the son side of the car is this awkwardness and anxiety. Hey, what did you learn? And it's almost like I need to clam up. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to open my heart up and have a personal conversation. Maybe I could talk to my teacher or my small group leader, or I'll talk to whoever's on the side of this thing, but not him. So what happens for a lot of fathers and sons, they're experiencing that awkwardness, and the dad's feeling awkward too. He's feeling like off balance. He's trying to connect. I'm not sure I'm connecting. I feel like I'm talking to a wall. And because of the awkwardness and anxiety, what happens is the dad kind of pulls back, pulls his heart away from son, and son, who's already dealing with that kind of spiritual attack of hard-heartedness toward dad, pulls his heart away from him, sever the rope. Now we're in the death zone without our ropes connected. Whatever's going on, young men, whatever you've got going on under the surface in your life, in your heart, you tell your dad. Are you angry? Tell your dad. Are you happy? Tell your dad. Are you struggling with temptation? Tell your dad. Do you think a girl's pretty? Tell your dad. Let me tell you a story. I had a young man in our church a number of years ago come to me and confess that he was struggling. I know we got a lot of some littler guys in here struggling with looking at inappropriate images of girls, on his phone. And he came to me. He was 13 years old, and he came to me and confessed, I really need help. And first of all, I was so impressed with the courage of this young man. Obviously struggling with something, struggling in secret, bringing that into the light was phenomenal. So I'm like, awesome, way to go. So proud of you. We talk about it. We get in. And I say, okay, now I knew his dad. And I said, have you told your dad? He's like, no, I haven't told my dad. I'm like, all right, well, you got to tell your dad because he loves you and he's going to walk this journey with you. He's like, oh, okay, I'll go tell my dad. So I follow up with this young man a week or so later. He did tell his dad, and hey, how'd it go? It was good. It was good. I'm really glad I did it. And as I learned more about it, they had maybe a half-hour conversation, not 5 hours, but half hour. And if you could script how a Christian dad would respond well to a situation like that, I mean, the dad crushed it. It was, graceful, loving, truthful. Hey, let's walk this together. This is, dangerous stuff. We don't want to be going down this road. Let's do this. So it went great. So in my mind, as I'm doing some discipleship with this young man, in my mind, I've got a little bit of a checkbox next to that name. I've passed him to his dad. Dad is now in the proper role of walking as father and son on that issue, so I can focus on other things. So a couple of years later, this young man comes back to me, and there's another issue in his life, something different, but he's struggling. We talk it through, and I say, you probably know what I'm going to tell you based on our last conversation. And he got right away, he's like, I'm not talking to my dad. I'm like, whoa, okay, last time you did, and you told me it was great, so what's the problem? He said, well, I had one great conversation with my dad, and that was it. He never circled back around to ask me how I was doing, never circled back around to pray with me, never circled around to talk to me. He said we were going to do this accountability and we were going to talk and do all this stuff. So I'm just wanting to stress the importance of continual pursuit of the relationship. Dads, we got to continue to pursue, continue to connect. This is not, you don't come to Father-Son Connect on January, whatever it is, put a checkbox next to, I spent 90 minutes investing in my relationship with my son. Maybe we'll do that again next year. Well, dads, I hope this motivated you to pursue a deeper relationship with your sons this year. And as promised, I want to give you some of the questions, some of the discussion points that the dads and sons at the Father-Son Connect event engaged in, and you can use these with your sons right now. So here was one. Dads, talk with your son about your father. Tell your son one of your father's positive character traits and one of his negative character traits. One of the questions we asked the sons was, what is a positive virtue or character trait you see in your dad? And when was a specific time you saw that virtue in action? And then dads, here's a question for you. In what ways, tell your son, in what ways is your son more mature than you were when you were his age? Another powerful conversation starter for you dads is this. Tell your son a mistake. That could be an action, a behavior, a mindset, an attitude. Tell your son a mistake that you made when you were around his age, and it's a mistake that you do not want him to repeat. A couple more. Dads, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how strong was your heart connection with your father during your teen years? And why did you choose that number? And you can ask your son, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how comfortable do you feel talking with me about personal things, and why did you choose that number? Now, if your son says like 3 or 4, some low number, don't bust his chops and get upset with him. He took a risk there. He was honest with you. If he gives a low number, in other words, hey, Dad, I'm not comfortable talking about spiritual things with you, take a deep breath, say thank you for being honest, and can you tell me more? I really want to understand why it's hard for you to talk to me about personal things. Another question. Dads, was your father more of an encourager or a discourager for you when you were growing up? And then one more set of powerful questions. Dads, what is one idea you have for how you could build a stronger relationship with your son during this next year? And then the same question for the sons. Sons, what's an idea you have for how you could build a stronger relationship with your dad this next year? And we always love spending this time with you on the Family Vision podcast, but we want to see you live and in person. We've got live visionary family events coming up all around the country this spring. We are in Oklahoma. We are in Seattle. We are in Winter Haven, Florida. all over the place. I can't even remember. Go to our website, visionaryfam.com, click the events button, and then we want to hear from you. If you have a prayer need for your family, our prayer team members want to pray personally and specifically for you. They're also even available to schedule a phone call, a prayer call with you. Please email us, podcast@visionaryfam.com. That's podcast@visionaryfam.com. And we look forward to our next time together with you on Family Vision.